Hey there, friends. A few nights ago, Justin Griffin of Who Killed Joseph Smith fame released a new video, and maybe you've seen it. It's had 10,000 views up to this point. What's the video called? It's called BYU professor Chris Blythe weighs in on the martyrdom. Justin takes a page from my highly praised short, The Prodigal Son, the future Jeremy Hoop story. This is where I imagine a future repentant Jeremy Hoop coming face to face with the very concept of truth herself.
I told you, I need some time, so can you please just go away?
What are you doing here?
It's my question exactly.
I owe you an apology.
You sure do.
It was a cerebral piece, to be sure, but Justin Griffin got it. All of a sudden, there I was, future me, face to face with Justin Griffin.
Hello, future Dr. Chris. Welcome to the WKJS podcast.
Hello, thank you for having me.
And friends, if you've been following my summer, you know this wasn't the first person to be upset with me for my film.
I intend on pursuing every avenue until you resign. I am fuming that you have not been terminated with an apology.
I had a few days before classes would start. It was time to debrief and to really evaluate myself. It was going to be hard. It's never easy to try to improve yourself, to look yourself in the mirror and really ask those hard questions, to take stock of your words and your actions. And I think we all know the best way to do that, especially in 2024, is to see what strangers on social media have to say about you. Fortunately, there was an impressive array and number of comments on Justin Griffin's Facebook page and on the YouTube video itself. Join me for the experience.
Late to the party, are you still there? I wanted to see you, do you still care? Did you think of me when you left home tonight? Did you think of me? Stopped at the red light, my windows down, the sounds of the city, a night on the town. Did you think of me when you left home tonight? Did you think of me? Did you think of me? Oh, I'm fighting for my sanity, wide awake on the mattress where we used to sleep. Look for someone to distract me, wonder what kind of company you're gonna keep. I'm done with wasting time, can't have your heart, so I'll hold mine. Maybe I'll see you on the other side.
I read the comments over hours and then days. Coming back, considering and reconsidering the nuances of each point. Some were simple comments. Support for Justin. He was great. Not necessarily funny, but great. And me, I was a mediocre scholar. I was someone who knew the truth, but was so corrupt that I chose my great celebrity, my fame, and my paycheck over admitting these historical detectives were right all along. But there were mysteries afoot. There it was. Pointing finger, prayer hands, prayer hands, prayer hands. Pointing finger, candle, candle, cactus, bicep flex, peace sign. I recognized it immediately. A cipher. What did it mean?
Symbols are a language that can help us understand our past. As the saying goes, a picture says 1,000
wanted to get a handle on all of these comments, but how? I wasn't smart, and I certainly wasn't educated. So obviously I couldn't do it alone. So I contacted Justin. If anybody could tell me what these comments meant, including pointing finger, prayer hands, prayer hands, prayer hands, pointing finger, candle, candle, cactus, bicep flex, peace sign meant. It was Justin Griffin. And while at first it seemed like he was going to help me, he ultimately declined to interpret any of the comments. He did, however, explain that if the comments were negative, it was because I had hurt a lot of people. And while going back through my comments, I can't find much of what I would describe as hurtful language or hurtful intent. Justin did point out that I called him the worst. I did. One thing is for sure, whatever these damaged souls were trying to convey, I had provoked them. I'd brought this on myself. Without Justin Griffin, I would have to turn to my second best option. Ryan Reginald Roos, one of my closest and dearest friends of 15 years. Ryan is one of those guys who studies philosophy on his downtime. He wouldn't let me down now at my lowest point.
Hey,
Hey, dude, how you doing?
I'm doing well.
Yeah, man, I'm going through these comments and, there's a lot of praise for Justin, and there's a few, there's some fun ones. One woman thinks that I began to explain to Ryan the different comments and my quest to understand their deeper meaning. But there's one comment that I guess I just don't get. And it's this one down here. It's a guy named Derek Payne, 1791. And he says, I haven't started the video yet, but is this about Chris denying the authenticity of Section 89? And for the life of me, I don't know what it could mean.
I think you're dealing with a lot of beautiful people, and
Ryan hesitated. There was a long, drawn-out pause. And then finally, after I assured him I could take whatever it was he needed to tell me, he continued.
In this case, the word of wisdom, I think you've run this before. I think it really just could be that you're fat.
Huh?
I'm sorry. I feel like we go back a long ways, and I need to be the one to tell you that is.
But Justin was really nice. He used only my best skinny pics.
Right. No. I mean, those are flattering photos, to be sure. But I think, well, Chris, I think when you do the calculations, you look at the measurements, and the available evidence, I think they're calling you fat. The words seemed to just hang there in the air. Wait, am I fat? I couldn't see it. But in time, I gradually came to think Ryan might be on to something. Which raises the question, could this whole video actually just be a commentary on my weight? Check out the title of this video. Or what about this strange comment Justin makes here?
You mean to tell me that a 300-plus pound man could stick his head out of the window?
And of course, Derek is referring to the little-known passage from the Doctrine of Christ, Doctrine and Covenants.
When you decide, I'm going to eat, but you're not at God's hunger point, you've listened to Satan.
But obviously, there were other comments I needed to ask Ryan about. Here's a person that says, he looks like he is a professional student, maybe because he couldn't, so he thinks he teaches. What do you think this person's saying? This is RK Toll 123.
Arcade toll. Clearly a man of the world. I mean, he's probably judging your youthful appearance. You look like you just got off the bus from Sunday school. And again, you and I go back. I know the extent of your training, but you're a fresh-faced fellow that, to those that are new to the scene, wouldn't be acquainted with your body of work. And just that smirk. A smirk says, this is junior high, and I'm looking for trouble.
All right, this one says, love this. Cowards will be cowards. And goes to show another one bites the dust as a coward too. Why is it that church members seem to be the most cowardice? I think cowardly is what she means. I'm so glad I'm becoming closer to God and truth. What do you think Mama Chrissa is trying to get at?
Well, I know that when you come closer to God, the first thing you do is find a keyboard and start calling people names. This has been my experience. All the great ones, Moses, Abraham, you name it, it's right there.
It became clear to me that Ryan had not read his scriptures in some time. This one says, Justin gets the laugh with Dr. Chris. Laughing face, laughing face, laughing face. Love how you gave him the smirk and the South Park way of talking. Very fitting. More importantly, I admire your willingness to have an open and transparent debate on important questions. As a never-mo, I think this says a lot about faithful LDS or Mormon members and those representing the Mormon Church. Why hide if you are the keeper of the truth? We know why. And then Justin Griffin answers and says, we do know why. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I did see that one, and my first impression there was that you're frightened of emojis. I mean, this is a real power play on their part. I noticed several emojis, and they mean business. They mean business. They are not messing around, Chris. I don't know. You're out of your element here. You know, the smirk, the South Park reference. You're not playing games, and this is what you need to understand. You need to up your game. You need to get yourself together. You need to, if you've seen Rocky IV, you need to go rewatch Rocky IV, eat a few salads, lift some logs, get in there, get some emojis going, and play the game right.
Ryan was starting to make sense. The video and the comments were about my weight. That was obvious, but they weren't just about my weight. They were also about the ciphers, the emojis, which brings us back to the real question. Ryan, what the fetch does pointing finger, prayer hands, pointing finger, candle, cactus, bicep flex, peace sign mean? Tell me, brother.
He's telling you to say your prayers, drink some milk, and sit on a cactus. That's sage advice.
There it was. I had my answers. I didn't like them. But I'd come for hard truths. I was not pretty, or smart, or kind. I was cringe. A real loser. Griffin's movement has pulled together a noble contingent of saints who resonated deep Christ-like love. I realized then they were slowly winning me over. I began to think they had a point after all. A secret conspiracy had taken over the church. And it began in the 1840s when they killed the prophet Joseph Smith. An elaborate plan to bring about polygamy. They began forging documents, creating a corrupted temple ceremony. And really this was all about satanic ritual abuse. The prophets, they were really just old guys snorting adrenochrome in a back room in the temple. It was all so much to take in. Okay, let's go ahead and turn it off. Okay, you've been watching /S, a personal reflection Thanks for doing that. And while I have you here, I wanted to take a minute and talk to you sincerely. Some of you are thinking, Chris, or Dr. Chris, or whatever you want to call me, Latter-day Saints aren't supposed to be sarcastic. And I'm really sympathetic to that idea. But for a minute, I want you to remember Parley P. Pratt, who wrote my personal favorite piece of satire, Joseph Smith's Dialogue with the Devil. If you aren't familiar with this work, you need to go read it, and read it now. It's not so unlike C.S. Lewis's Screwtape Letters, which hopefully you're familiar with. Satire is a Latter-day Saint genre, and you just imbibed some of that. I want to end on a serious note. Obviously, Justin is just using a BYU professor to bring attention to his movement. He's gotten his flock riled up, and his video has 14,000 views just a few days after it was released. This is the most views he has ever received by far for any of his podcasts, with the exception of the movie that he put out itself. So, I'll be honest, I don't want to function as a continuing commercial for Justin Griffin and these ideas. Which means this is my final acknowledgement, at least in this form, of Justin Griffin and his compatriots for the foreseeable future. This is important, I think, but it's also a distraction to the things I really like to study. Justin Griffin clearly doesn't understand what I do in my scholarship. I don't dig into the particular historical events. I didn't do that in Terrible Revolution, the book he's talking about. I study narrative, the way people talk about the past. I study legends and myths. And yeah, don't get too sensitive, but I study conspiracy theory. That's literally what I do. I want to end on that point. Now, check out this illustration. This is the SLAP test. It was designed by my good friend and mentor, Jeannie Thomas, at Utah State University. It's a chart that tells you when you should be cautious about an alleged conspiracy, an urban legend you might hear. Now, pay attention. Don't get me wrong, there are conspiracies, but sometimes we get drawn into paranoid thinking. We go down a sinkhole of nonsense. This formula just tells you when you need to use discernment. When, from my perspective as a Latter-day Saint, you really need to make sure you're dialed into the Holy Ghost. Once you get this chart, it's pretty intuitive, but you ask yourself these 4 tests. First, you think about the scare test. Does the claim being made attempt to scare or shock you? This doesn't mean it's not true, but it does mean you need to think about it. In this case, we have people telling you your religion is just an elaborate hoax perpetrated by Brigham Young and that there are satanic connections to it. Yeah, it's scary. Then you do the logistics test. Does the account rely on complicated or far-fetched logistics? Guys, polygamy denial and inside job theories about the martyrdom depend on a really large group willing to keep up a lie for their entire lives, even after leaving the church in some cases. They made up diary entries and so on. Logistically, this is pretty impossible. The third test is the A-list test. Does the account involve famous people? Now, there can certainly be legitimate conspiracies involving the famous, but people also like to speculate and hypothesize about such people. It's a common theme in paranoid delusions. And then the final test is the prejudice test. This one's really important. Obviously, there are a lot of anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, but these ones, polygamy denial and martyrdom inside job conspiracies, are designed to build prejudice as well. Notice how in these comments people rail against BYU professors, Latter-day Saints, and church leaders. Again, there could be true conspiracies involving me or President Nelson, but you need to be discerning. So what is the problem with believing conspiracy theories like the ones Justin and his cohort have put out there in the universe? Truthfully, if you believe in one conspiracy, it probably doesn't matter too much. But the first thing I want you to consider is the culture of conspiracy that leads you deeper and deeper. When you participate in this culture, it changes the way you process information, the way you see the world. So you'll notice if you look at these channels, it's one conspiracy after another. There's no end in sight. In their cogent moments, they realize and they beg people to only focus on the big picture. Just talk about polygamy denial. Just talk about the new evidence of the martyrdom. But in reality, they're slipping deeper and deeper into a certain way of looking at the world. And you'll notice a new conspiracy happens each time. This is conspiracy content making 101. Finally, conspiracies like these have an impact on your relationships. And that's really serious. For those of you that accept Justin Griffin's ideas and have made them part of your own identity, can I suggest that you ask yourself whether it's benefited your life? Has it drawn you closer to your loved ones? Or has it pushed you further away? It's exciting, and I get that, but it's not true, and it's isolating. You found yourself thinking you're special among Latter-day Saints. And many of you have aligned yourself with different break-off groups. It makes sense. This conspiracy aimed at the evils of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. The polygamy denial movement will have a shelf life of a handful of years. That doesn't mean there won't be people that believe this idea for longer, but this moment where it feels like there's a lot of attention to it, it's not going to last. As Brigham Young once said to Reuben Miller, who was coming to believe in the claims of James Strang, let it never be said of Reuben Miller or of Chris Blythe or of whatever your name is, that he was ever led away and entangled by such nonsense. God loves you, my friends. He wants you in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Come back. And I truly believe friends at first will be friends at last.